my kippah go? It's a good thing I noticed these things. Sorry? I do.
On the left. I have an 11, so I just assumed it would. Hi. You too.
I'm Zvi Aronoff.
Hi, Zvi. Yes, I heard that you were coming.
Oh, great.
Here.
It's an honor to meet you.
So nice to meet you. Wonderful.
Beautiful shul.
Yeah.
Yeah, great to
Yeah. I'm so glad that you got to meet this
Yes, of course. Hi, Tzvi. Nice to welcome you. I'm Cantor Elon.
That's lovely.
Nice to meet you. A mile away. I'm well, thanks. How are you? I noticed. It's a good thing. It's good. Hey, it's a good thing. We're here because we're here because... I thought you were bringing Sarah, but it said you brought Laura.
Hello, good to see you.
So funny with her hair back and the glasses. She looks like her mother spitting images. What? Oh, yeah. Blue block glasses. I love when she wears them. She looks so studious.
Okay. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome. It's 7 o'clock now, so we're going to be getting started in just a minute.
Did I take it home?
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is truly such a delight to be with all of you who are here in person and all of you who are here online. Tonight is a really special night that we have every year toward the end of the year, which is Shabbat HaMorim. Shabbat where we get to honor the phenomenal teachers in our Torah School and the phenomenal adults who make up our Board of Ed. So our teachers, there's a sound issue.
There is?
Apparently there is.
Okay.
Anyone who's online, if you can tell me if you can hear?
I might know what the problem is. Give me 1 second.
Of course, there's always tech issues, right?
No, those are both muted. That's muted.
All right. As we figure all of this out, this is actually really kind of appropriate for Shabbat HaMorim because our teachers have had to deal with all sorts of tech issues over the year, and yet they've gotten through miraculously, so beautifully, with the help of so many people. But tonight we're going to start our service by lighting candles, and I'd love to invite up all of the phenomenal people, including Donnie Paquin, who has been the chair of the Board of Ed for the past 2 years, who we are so grateful for, and everyone else who has served on the Board of Ed over this past year. Please come up and light candles at this time. You can find the blessing on page 120.
Hopefully it's fixed. It's not? Her. It's on.
Testing.
Yes.
1, 2. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Good job.
Thank you all so much, and it's so lovely having you up there, Lev, too, with a big smile on your face. We continue on page 127. We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories glowing even in darkness, for Shabbat peace born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessing, O God. On page 131, we continue with our Kabbalat Shabbat, welcoming in the Sabbath day.
Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Sing unto God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. I will sing unto God a new song. We continue welcoming the ministering angels, page 142. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ay, 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 Boachem Shalom, Malachi Hashalom. Shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu Nile Shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi HaMalachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ay, 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 tzitchem leShalom, Malachi HaShalom, Malachi Elyon.
continue with Lecha Dodi on page 138.
Ya la 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 Lecha Dodi, ya la 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 לקראת כלה, ya la 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה, ya la 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 Lecha Dodi, ya la 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 לקראת כלה, ya la 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השפיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. יאללה אליי, יאללה אליי לך דודי, יאללה אליי לקראת כלה, יאללה אליי פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשב התפילה. יאללה אליי, יאללה לה 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 לך דודי, יאללה לה 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 לקראת כלה, יאללה לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, אורך ומאורי, אורי אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. יאללה אליי, יאללה לה 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 לך דודי, יאללה לה 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 לקראת כלה, יאללה לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה.
Please rise in body or in spirit as we welcome in the Sabbath bride.
בואי ושלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, יאללה אליי, יאללה אליי לך דודי, יאללה אליי לקראת כלה, יאללה אליי פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה.
now that we have welcomed in Shabbat, before we turn to our call to worship, the Baruch Hu, let's turn to one another and embrace one another, whether across the room or through messages on our Zoom or Facebook stream. There are many ways to connect. And I just want to say how delightful it is to have so many of our Torah School students in this room right now, giving one another hugs. It's truly just beautiful.
Amen. Amen.
So now we are ready to pray. Let us rise once more in body or spirit as we turn to the Baruch Hu on page 146.
Yalla lai lai lai, 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 yalla lai lai lai. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening? Understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher midbaro na'arim aravim bechokma poteach she'arim. God of creation, who makes the evening fall from light into darkness with the setting of the sun. You unfold the heavens with brilliant moon and stars and wrap our souls with peace. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher nitbaro na'arim aravim bechokma poteach she'arim. Baruch atah Adonai HaMa'ariv aravim.
On page 151. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me, did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed.
You may be seated if you wish. Page 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
On page 159, we continue. Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. We prepare to offer the words of Mi Chamocha on page 158. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, אדוני מלוך לעולם ועד. מלכותך
ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, כי הלא מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Shabbat is meant to be a small taste of the world to come. Meant to be this time where we can let go of our anxieties, let go of all the things that have kind of held us back through the week so that we can truly find restoration, so that we can truly be rejuvenated in the ways that our souls are begging us to do. But with so much going on in our world today, we have a lot on our minds. And the Hashkivenu prayer is, for me, a prayer that's a big hug. A prayer that reminds us that no matter what is going on in our lives, no matter what's going on in our worlds, we have a community around us and we have God that's with us every step of the way. We turn to our Hashkivenu, our prayer that teaches us that God is with us when we lie down in peace and when we rise up to life renewed.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. Amen. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us daily wrong from right. Amen. 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 Baruch atah Adonai haporech sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Baruch atah Adonai haporech sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael.
Page 162.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בדונם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת ביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם גדולה ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת.
So a few weeks ago, I had the pleasure of working with some of our older kids doing tefillah, or older students, I shouldn't say kids. And we went outside in our courtyard, going over the prayers of the Amidah, the prayers that we're about to come to. And I handed each student chalk so that they could study their prayer and draw a picture that resonated with how they understood that prayer. And as they created these colorful pictures, depicting God and our relationship with God, depicting our relationship with one another, I was struck by two distinct thoughts. One was how similar in some ways they all were. That these are prayers that have been handed down to us for generations and generations. They're the words that our parents and our grandparents and our great-parents, great-grandparents and our great-great-grandparents said. And yet, at the same time, every student created something that was so personal to who they were. And I think that our students, as we are going to be honoring our teachers and our parent volunteers and our madrichim, we also have the opportunity to honor our students, because our students can teach us so much as well. So let's learn from them as we turn to the words of our Amidah now. Say these words that have been handed down over time, but try to find for ourselves the personal meaning that lay within. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit. Page 164.
Adonai שפתי תפתח פי יגיד תהילתך Adonai open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise Yalla la 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 Yalla la la Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chastei Avot ve'imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע מוריד הטל מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך הולך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please continue with the words of the prayer book or the meditations of your heart.
שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום, כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים
So in just a couple of minutes, we're going to take the Torah out of the ark to begin our Torah service. But before we do that, to keep you on your toes, I'm going to teach a little bit about Torah before we take it out. Got to switch it up every so often, right? So this week's Torah portion, Amor, actually feels like an incredibly fitting Torah portion for Shabbat HaMorim, the Shabbat on which we honor our teachers. And like much of the book of Leviticus that we are right in the middle of, This week's Torah portion offers several laws by which to live our lives. Some of them pertain to holidays and customs that we are very well acquainted with, and some are referring to sacrifices and priestly traditions that might not feel quite as relevant today. And yet each year we teach them. This Torah portion actually makes a point of underlying the importance of teaching them. It opens with the words, Vayomer Adonai el Moshe, el mor el hakohanim b'nei Aharon v'amart alehem. God said to Moses, speak to the priests, the sons of Aaron, and say to them. Now what follows after these words is a rule about the actions that priests should take to remain clean and holy, a practice which does not have the exact same resonance today. And yet this first verse of our Torah portion anyway is surprisingly relevant because of one word alone, which is repeated, actually not once, not twice, but 3 different times. This verse is the only place in the entire Torah which uses the root amar, speak, so many times in such close proximity. And first it says that God is speaking to the Jewish people, but the next time it's speaking to the people, the first time amar shows up, it's amor. It's in the imperative form, speak to the people, let them know what it is that I have to say. The second time, the verb appears in the imperfect future tense, va'amarta, and you shall say to them. Whenever an anomaly like this takes place in the Torah, it's a signal to take note, to pay attention. Is God asking Moses to teach about 2 different sets of laws, wonders Ibn Ezra? Is this repetition there to show the importance of this particular commandment, Abarbanel posits? No, explains Rashi. It's there to remind adults that it not only should they study and follow all of these rules, but that all of us have a responsibility and the joy of passing them on to the next generation. Nachmanides actually takes this teaching a step further. Just as adults are held accountable for their actions, so too will the next generation be held to them as well. We must teach in such a way that the next generation understands and is ready with a love of Judaism and Torah to take on the mitzvot, the commandments, which call us to be our very best selves. In other words, Parashat Amor, the Torah portion literally, which means to speak, is subtly within these first few words sending a message about the important work that teachers do within our community to pass on Torah. Tonight, we have the pleasure of honoring our incredibly patient and talented and creative teachers. The Talmud teaches that the work of a teacher has incredibly high value. In fact, there's actually an interesting story that takes place in the Talmud about someone named Rav Prida. Now, Rav Prida had a student who it took some time for him to take in some of what was being taught. And sometimes it would take 400 times going over a lesson before the student was able to not just get the lesson, but to actually really be able to internalize it. Now, one day in the midst of this lesson, someone came in and said, Rabbi, as soon as you're done, you need to go over here. You're needed for a really important matter. Now, this rabbi stayed in the room and continued to teach until the 400th time was over, and then turned to the student and said, did you understand everything that was taught? What's going on?
I don't know.
And it's God speaking to us, right? And the student said, no, I didn't get it. And the rabbi said, well, what happens usually by the 400th time? You understand everything that's going on. And this student said, well, someone interrupted in the middle. And then after that, the entire time, I was thinking, oh no, my teacher needs to leave soon. Am I going to know it in time? And so I didn't get the lesson. And so the rabbi said, that's not important right now, and proceeded to teach it another 400 times. And after teaching it another 400 times, the student said, yes, I finally understand it. I got it. I know what you're trying to teach me. And God calls down, and God says, what do you want your reward to be? And he said, well, I want my generation and me to merit going into the world to come. And God said, that's not enough. I'm going to give you more time on this earth as well. And the reason that that story is uplifted and brought in here is because it teaches that having the patience of a teacher, having the thoughtfulness to truly know if your students are grasping everything that you're teaching, that is a gift. And that takes time, it takes effort, it takes so much of our heart and soul. And that truly is what all of our teachers in our Torah school do every single day. On top of that, there's another teaching in this portion that I think is really important, which is that while our teachers have this incredible gift and this ability to teach our students, it is not up to our teachers alone to do the teaching. Every single one of us as adults in the community have something to teach. And if what you're thinking is, I don't have a huge Jewish background, I don't know if I really have the ability to teach, there's a text for that too. There's a text that teaches that just as a small piece of wood can ignite a large piece of wood, so too can a modest teacher sharpen the greatest scholars of all. Every single one of us has something to teach through the way in which we act, through the way in which we hold ourselves, through the Torah that we have taken in. And when we can offer that little bit of Torah within ourselves, the next generation is blessed to receive it. But it's not just that. As I mentioned before, we also learn from our students. And there's one more text, which to me is one of my very favorite texts, from Ta'anit, where Rabbi Hanina said, "Much I have learned from my teachers, some more from my friends, but from my students I have learned the most." May we continue to learn from our students, just as we offer wisdom to everyone else as well. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May this be God's will. And with that, let us take out that Torah so that we can take in some of its wisdom. We are on page 364, and I invite you to rise once more in body or in spirit.
כי מציון תצא תורה, דבר אדוני מירושלים. כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו, תורה לעמו ישראל. ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל. בקדושותיו כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד, אחד אלוהינו, גדול אדוננו, קדוש שמו, גדול אדוני איתי, ונרוממה שמו יחדיו. לך אדוני הגדולה והגדולה והתפארת והנצח וההוד. ככל בשמיים ובארץ, ככל בשמיים ובארץ. לך אדוני הממלכה והמתנשא לכל לראש.
some of our phenomenal teachers up there. Yes, you may be seated. And for the Aliyah, we're going to invite our teachers who are here to unmute so that we can hear their wonderful voices blessing the Torah. We are going to be reading from Parashat Emor from the very, very beginning. So it is Leviticus chapter 21, verses 1 through 4.
1, 2, 3. Oh, wait.
What?
Baruch, Baruch,
Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe, Emor el HaKohanim, Bnei Aharon, Ve'amarta Aleihem, Lenefesh lo yitama be'amav, Ki im lishero hakarov elav le'imo ulaviv velivno ulvito ulachiv ולאחותו הבתולה הקרובה אליו, אשר לא הייתה לאיש לא יטמע בעל בעמיו לאכלו.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natamanu Torah temet, v'chayei olam b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Now I have to remove all of that.
Yasher Koach, the beauty of technology that allows us to do exactly that. So while our teachers are here, even if they're disappearing from this screen, we know that you're there. I have the pleasure of offering you an absolutely awful poem, thanking you for honoring us, a la Rabbi Lieb, who used to give poems, which I'm sure are much better than mine, of a blessing, of appreciation for all our incredible teachers. And so, bear with me, here goes. We did it, we made it. It's the end of the year. I'm so proud of our teachers, staff, and volunteers. An entire year in our classroom we didn't know if we could do it, how fast the time went. We found ways, resilient as we are, to gather and learn in hybrid classes, tech challenges and all. Our knowledge was earned. We welcomed in new friends and deepened friendships of old. It was a year of blessings that couldn't have been foretold. On Sunday mornings, Jewish music filled the alley. Our church neighbors told us with glee. Prayers, Hanukkah, and Purim songs sounded joyfully, and during breaks, balls whizzed. Kids laughed, a mostly pleasant jubilee. Our teachers were amazing, as always, responding to students' needs. When circumstances warranted, changing course with amazing speed. Led by our Director of Education, Randy Scher, who worked hard to prepare and who deeply cares about each of the students in our Torah School, in partnership with Donnie Paquin, who is a jewel. And the Board of Ed, always ready to volunteer, filled with a plethora of fabulous ideas. Creating great TBE swag for all of us to wear, and honey fundraisers in which we could all share. Assisting on Hanukkah and Purim too. It was a good year to be a Jew. Thanks for your time, dedication, and love. It raised our Torah School a level above. But tonight we are here to honor HaMorim. You can find some of them. We're up on the screen. Though you're not here in person, we hope you feel celebrated for the creativity with which you educated. Moralisa teachers to students 4 to 6, your warmth, patience, and love of Judaism are a pretty rad mix. Your students made masterpieces for holidays and themes. They learned letters, Torah studies about Israel, and always came out beaming. Maura Michelle, though no one has fun in your class, I think I caught a few smiles that with your story quite contrasts. Torah yoga, Aleph Bet with shaving cream are just some of your creative ideas. No wonder your students want to stay in your class beyond their first and second grade years. Maura Barbara always has something to teach, whether in class or in the hallway. It's not just the candy you give out that's sweet. It's in the care that you display. Always learning, always willing to volunteer to tutor students whenever you can. Susie, your toy horse, makes quite the impression. Your students are fans. Maura Hadass, our Gimel teacher, offers more than her love of Hebrew Ivrit. Students learn not just how to read, but also how to speak. It was a delight to celebrate with you when your son Henry was born. But selfishly, we're also glad you're back for your adored. Maura Jessica of Dalet Hay, a teacher at TBE for years. Your love of Torah shines through in everything. Oh, I changed the word and now it doesn't rhyme. That's okay. For everything you do. Conversation in your class were meaningful and deep. We're so grateful for your years of stellar teaching. We wish forever we could keep you as a teacher, but we're thrilled for you. You've decided it's time to retire. I want you to know just how much you are admired. You've prepared a generation of students for the mitzvah. You're always welcome back. You know how much Torah School will miss you. Madrichot, our incredible team who aided our teachers in person and on screen. Hannah Bazo, Zoe Davidson, and Eli Weiss-Schmidt, Sarah Gill, and Patrick Lowenstein, and no, that's not it. Sarah Takami, Daniela Gross, who also volunteered there, helping students and teachers alike. You gave up sleeping in just because you care. With teens like you, I have hope that this world will be. This Torah School year was a success, thanks to all of you. Parents, volunteers, teachers, and staff, keep doing what you do. We're grateful for all that you invest. It's clear that we at TBE are so very blessed. Thank you all so much. And we continue with the word of prayer.
I know. Go forward. Sorry. For our teachers and their students and the students of ask for peace and love and let us say I'm getting it all here too.
When tech doesn't work, it really doesn't work. I apologize for everyone at home who's having problems again. We hope that we'll be able to get that fixed, but I hope that all of you as teachers know how incredibly blessed we feel to have you in our community. And for everyone in the Board of Ed, we will be doing more on our last day of Torah School to honor you, to honor Jessica, who is retiring after so many years, to honor our amazing Donnie there, and Randy Scher, who also wasn't able to be here tonight at the last second. We have so much more celebrating to do. This is just the beginning. But right now, with the Torah still out, we are going to offer a Mishnah prayer. And we have two separate prayers. One is for those who endure chronic emotions, and the other is our Mishnah prayer of healing for everyone who we hope and who we know has the potential of healing from whatever is ailing them. As I go around the room, I invite you to say aloud anyone for whom you would like to offer either of these prayers.
Barry Tischler, Carol Zeifman, Robin Gregson,
Becca Rothstein, Melissa Polk. For all the people whose names we've said out loud, and for everyone whose names are written in the chat and Zoom, let us offer these prayers, beginning with a prayer by Elton for those who endure. God of our mothers and fathers, watch over all who live with genetic disorders, life-threatening medical conditions, and chronic or degenerative diseases. Bless them with endurance, fortitude, and hope, with opportunities to thrive and shine even as their conditions progress. Watch over them, their families, and friends, our community, and all of humankind. We pray for the wisdom and insight to see each member of our community with clear eyes and open hearts. As another human being, with hopes and dreams, proud of who they are, striving to be their best selves, struggling with this life and loving it too, as we all do. Rock and shelter, grant us all the ability to see each other's humanity clearly, to cherish each other's individuality, to care deeply about one another, to mourn our losses and celebrate our victories together, so that we live, act, and pray as one community of favor and blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Mechin mitzadei. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who strengthens our steps. Page 300.
May the source of strength, who blessed love be for us, help us find the courage, make our lives a blessing, and let us Amen. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Baruch atah Adonai, Rofei HaCholim. Blessed are you, God, whose healing presence is with all of those in need. And we all say, Amen.
Amen. We'll now return the Torah to the Ark. I invite you to please rise in body or in spirit. Aleinu prayer in just one moment to do in this period between Passover and Shavuot. We take a moment to count. And you can find the Omer counting on page 570 if you'd like to follow along. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sefirat ha'omer. I praise to you, Adonai, sovereign of all, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to count the Omer. Hayom shmona v'esrim yom shehem arba shavuot la'omer. Today is the 28th day, which is 4 weeks into the Omer. And we continue on page 586 with Aleinu.
It's up to us to call ourselves up to sing what's to bring about redemption. What's the point of being here? To change our ways, our nameless It's time to It's up to us to answer because we are an answer to our call. It's up to us to live for the best.
As we come to the end of our service, we always take a moment to remember those who have died in recent days and weeks, and those who have died at this time in years past. We are remembering Barbara Turek Griesdorf, Jack Silverberg, Elliot Bruner, Ardith Garland, Nicole Mene, and Sam Morris, who have died in recent days. We know there are others in our hearts who are not saying Kaddish for yet because the funeral hasn't yet happened, but we certainly are thinking of them as well. We're also observing the art sites for Bertram John Allenstein, Carol Betty Ash, Marilyn Becker, Marvin Belzer, Eva Bronner, Howard Carlson, Seferino Carpio Sr., Bill Kale, Fanny Demoff, Richard Driver, Irene Feingold, Vicki Fell, Paul Michael Fenton, Melvin Furman, Miriam Goldberg, Doris Goldenberg, Harris Goldman, Ann Goldstein, Leon Greenberg, Rose Gross, Thelma Whittlestein-Hanselman, Julian Kaiser, Sylvia Caston, Jonathan Catch, Mary Noble, Fega Kvicko, Lori Lessinger, Edith Leventhal, Diane Lieberman, Benjamin Lubert, Stanley Meyer, Molly Mell, Bella Monshine, Shirley Newstetter, Anna Petlak, Doris Picard, Alex Pollock, Hinda Schwartz, Richard Shafton, Sarah Scher, Tilly Shore, Henry Isidore Silverman, Joe Stein, Kenneth Steidler, Jamie Taus, Celia Lois Wall, Manuel Yarkover, and for everyone else whose names we hold in our hearts, let us rise as a community in body or in spirit as we prepare to offer the words of the Mourner's Kaddish on page 590. Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shmei Rabbi, Yamad, Yamrach, Yerotei, V'yamlech, Malchutei, V'chayachon, V'yumachon, V'chayed, V'chayed, Yisrael, B'agalah, V'yizman, Karim, V'yamid, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba, Mevrach, Le'olam, Le'omei, Amaya, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, Yitpa'ar, V'yitamam, V'yinasri, V'yitadar, V'yitar, V'yitalal, Shemei, V'kusha, Le'olam, Le'kol Birchata, V'shirat, Tush B'chata, V'yachamata, V'amiram, V'alma, V'imru, Amen. Yehei Shlama, Rabba, Me'shamayim, V'chayim, Aleinu, V'al Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. Osei Shalom, Shalom, Hu Yasei Shalom, Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. Zichronam Zichraha, may all of their memories be a blessing. And together, let us say, Amen. Amen.
Osei Shalom, Shalom,
Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat
everyone.
Shalom.
Thank you so much for being here. For everyone who is online, we invite you to hang around so that you can go into breakout rooms with one another. For everyone here, there is an oneg out on the patio that you can take part in. There are some announcements about all of the wonderful events that are going on next weekend for our arts weekend and my installation service, which will be next Friday. I look forward to seeing you at all of those things, and I hope you have a truly restful and rejuvenating Shabbat.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom. It's okay.
All the tech issues.
You know, it happens and it's totally fine. Yeah, and of course I figured out halfway through the service why the slides weren't sharing. I'd forgotten to turn off my Wi-Fi, so it was conflicting between the Wi-Fi and the hardwire. It has to be hardwired, and if you don't turn off the Wi-Fi, that's what happens. You just get a black screen. And the funny thing is, it was working at the beginning. It worked at the very beginning, and then it just stopped. So. Let's do this. Oh, I see what I did. Good. Oh, thank you, Bob. We had a few things on our minds at the end. Working the way they were supposed to tonight. You, on the other hand, were perfect. You know, when those things happen, hey, let me get those on for you. I could do it from the pad. Oops. I think the outside's on now. I hope. Maybe. Okay, I'm leaving the meeting there. Sign and leave. Oh my gosh. Hey, you guys. King of the multi-tasker.
Yes, you guys are rocking it out today. Hi.
Usually it's all I'm so sorry tonight. You were singing and zooming and all
Yeah, and plugging and recording and you're like seriously multitasking. Pretty impressive. We have a lot of people on Zoom still. Yeah. Really? Wow. Cool. Okay.
How have you guys been? Good.
Yeah.
Miss you.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. You just came up and I'm like,
Who is that?
must be really hard for you.
Yeah. We're like masked.
I know.
Yeah.
No, like seriously, you guys came in and I'm like, look at that. I know. It's cute. And especially because you came on a night when your parents were here. So,
Yes.
so is that true? Was that on purpose?
Don't say a word.
I'm not going to judge
Yeah.
in any way, shape, or form.
And we
But
had, seen a new rabbi, so.
yeah, she's pretty neat.
Lovely.
Yeah, she really is.
Yeah.
She really is.
So,
Oh my gosh.
everything good? Your kids are good?
You know, thank God, my kids are great. My youngest daughter right now is in rehearsal until 9:30 tonight. For she's doing Spam-A-Lot,
Oh,
and
fantastic.
she's playing Lady of the Lake. If you guys are in town on Memorial Day weekend, she's playing Saturday night and Sunday matinee